Hey guys, and welcome back. In today's class, we'll be doing a yoga routine focused mostly on just working on our backs and lower back, just to help work on those muscles as well as get some spinal movement going. In the practice, you might need to have some blocks, so it'll be good to keep them on hand, but not absolutely necessary. So to begin, we're going to start off in the back of our mat, starting in child's pose, with our legs either as wide as the mat or together, whichever feels most comfortable, placing our bum on our heels and laying our whole body forward with our arms facing out in front of us. With our head down on the mat, we're just going to hold the pose for a few breaths as we settle in. Really focusing on getting a nice deep stretch in your back, maybe even pulling your arm out a little bit further out in front of you. Taking full deep breaths, feeling your lungs expand, and slowly exhaling through the mouth. Going through one more round of breaths. Before finally keeping your head and chest down on the mat, you're going to slowly lift your hips up, crawling your upper body slightly forward. So finally reach a nice dolphin pose with the hips above your knees and your head and chest as low as to the ground as possible. And from here, we're going to hold this pose for 5 full breaths. Really feeling a nice stretch in your lower back. And on your last exhale, we're going to slowly push ourselves up into a nice tabletop position. Hands below shoulders, knees below hips. And from here, we're just going to go through a few wrist rotations just to get some nice movement going. Maybe going in a circular direction in the one way before changing over into the other direction. Really giving yourself some nice free movements, getting your whole body moving, getting the blood nice and flowing before meeting me back in neutral. Now we're going to go through a few rounds of cat-cow, taking a deep breath in as we dip our bellies looking up as high as we can, and then bringing our chin to our chest as we exhale, rounding our back out, looking towards our belly button. Going through 2 more rounds on your own pace. Inhale for cow. And exhale for cat. Really taking your time, keeping everything nice and controlled. Or coming back in a neutral. Next, going through some bird dogs, lifting your right hand up, keeping it as straight as possible before straightening and lifting your back left leg so it's in line with your right hand. Taking a deep inhale, and then as we exhale, we're going to crunch, bring our elbow to our knee before inhaling to open back up. Going through 2 more rounds. Really trying to bend and round your back as much as comfortably possible. The last one, coming back and swapping over to other side, straightening your left arm and straightening your right leg, taking a deep inhale, and then as you exhale, crunching up, bringing knee to elbow. Going to 2 more. And on your last one, coming back into a nice tabletop. In your tabletop, you're going to keep your hands grounded, pushing your legs out into a high plank, holding for breath in, and as you exhale, pushing your hips up and back for your downward facing dog. In your down dog, you might maybe we just want to walk your dog out, taking one step at a time, bending your knees, gently feeling a nice stretch in your back of your legs before finally coming back to stillness. And then from here, we're going to straighten our right leg up and pushing it up as high as you can. Keep it nice and straight. Then as we exhale, we're going to bend our knee, bringing our right knee towards our right wrist, and then kicking our right foot to our right left hand, lowering our back knee and sliding it out into our pigeon pose. This is where you might want to use your blocks, keeping them on close on either side. You can either keep them on your sides, or if you have the balance, facing on your legs, or even float them up. As we're going to be holding this pose, keeping a nice straight back, pushing our hips forward as we hold this for 5 full breaths. Really trying to pull your shoulders back, engaging your back and lower back muscles. Trying to keep your hips nice and square. And on your last exhale, bringing your hands back down to the mat, lifting your back knee, kicking your legs together, and going through one gentle vinyasa as we exhale, lowering our knees down before finally lowering our whole upper body. And as we inhale, we're going to push up slowly. So we go into a nice up cobra. And then as we exhale, tucking our toes and pushing our hips back up for another downward facing dog. From here, we're going to go on to the other side, lifting our left leg, going up as high as you can go. And then finally bringing our left knee to our left hand and our left foot to our right hand. Sorry about that. And tucking your back toes and just slowly sliding your hips back and lifting up for pigeon pose on the other side. Using your blocks if needed, and really trying to engage and feel the stretch in your hips and back. Finally, on your last exhale, bring our hands back, kicking back into a nice high plank. And from here, we're just going to slowly lower our whole bodies back down. So we're nice and flat on our stomachs, placing our forearms out in front of us as we just do a nice gentle back bend in Sphinx. Maybe trying to look up as high as you can as we just hold and relax into the pose. Pushing back, up. You're gonna meet me in a nice seated position with your legs out straight in front of you together. From here, we're gonna lift our hands up as we take a nice deep inhale. And then as we exhale, we're gonna slowly go into a nice forward fold, aiming to bring our chest towards our knees. And when we can go as far as we can, we just do a nice relaxing fall down, letting our head hang loose and our arms by our legs. Remembering to focus on your breath, getting some nice deep inhales and exhales. Trying to make your breath as even as possible as you breathe in and out. And slowly rolling yourself up, keeping your chin to your chest as you straighten your back, making sure your head's the last one to come up. We're now going to bend our left leg, bringing it at our bottom of our foot by our right thigh, placing our left hand behind us as far as it can go, raising our right hand and bending our elbow to our knee. We're going to twist our bodies to the left. And maybe even if we can, turning it to look over our shoulders if it's comfortable for your neck. For a nice seated twist. On your last exhale, bring yourself back to center, swapping your legs, straightening your left, bending your right. Placing your right hand now behind you, lifting your left arm and bending it to the outside of your right knee, and just twisting your body as far as it can go, and maybe even looking over your right shoulder. Coming back to center, moving just slightly forwards as we lay on our backs, keeping both our knees bent. Opening our arms up to the side, or maybe even open to a cactus. As we then bend both our legs down, bring to the left-hand side for a nice belly twist, and maybe even looking over, turning our head to the right. Focusing on trying to keep both your shoulders on the mat. You just let gravity pull your legs down as far as they can go. You're not trying to force anything. Then bring your head back, looking up ahead of you straight. Slowly lifting your legs back up to center, and then letting them fall over to the right before twisting your head to look to the left. Really feeling your chest expand and contract with every inhale and exhale. Then gently bring yourself back to center, first with your head, then with your legs. And then keeping them bent, we're going to go into our last pose for this practice for a bridge, bringing our heels as close to our bum as possible, maybe even being able to touch our heels with our hands. Then bracing yourself as you just slowly and gently start off with lifting your hips, maybe moving onto your lower back, then slowly lifting your spine one vertebra at a time. So you bring it to a nice straight bridge pose. And then from there, you have a couple options. You can either keep your hands as is where they are, or maybe even grasp them below your lower back. And if you're feeling upward, you can maybe even push a slightly a little bit higher, going onto your tippy toes just to get a nice and deeper stretch. Making sure your chin is nice and tucked into your chest. You just focus on your breath. Finally releasing your hands. You slowly lower your feet back down on the ground if they were up, and then slowly lowering your back down, going down one vertebra at a time, then your lower back, and finally your hips. And then with that being the end of the practice, you can meet me back in a nice seated position. You just take one last twist from side to side. And take one last deep inhale. And then sigh it all out. I really hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope that you found something beneficial. And hopefully I'll get to be able to see you guys next time again on the yoga mat.